Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect. I'm Julie Chanel, and with my co-founder, Cathy Olson, we're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Gorgeous Effect. This is Julie and Cathy, and today we're talking about how to learn anything without wasting your time. And I think this is such a timely topic because the amount of things that you could learn on any given day, given how fast AI is moving, makes it feel like it's like this weird thing where you're behind and yet you learn, and then you feel like you're wasting time and you're not getting stuff done. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are feeling behind all the time now. And they're almost like, not trying not to learn things because they're like, I'm sure AI could just answer this. But there's a lot of skills that are getting more and more important to learn. But I also think just as humans, we want to learn things, like we're always learning, we're always getting better. But sometimes it feels like learning is a waste of time. So can we collapse the two and learn something as we're getting things done? That's my favorite way to do it, at least. I don't know if that's your favorite way to do it, is the double whammy.
100%. I find that there is a personality of person who likes to, it's the kind of person who buys a piece of furniture and reads the manual first, or like gets a new electronic, reads the manual, and then begins playing with it. And then you have the other personality who just starts playing with it and doesn't go to the manual until they get stuck. I think in terms of the wasting time with the amount of new technology that we could learn, I think we're better off just taking action and learning what we need to learn when we hit a roadblock than reading the manual before we pick up the camera kind of thing. There are exceptions to that, but in general, I think that is what the majority of people need to do, is like it's learning in the context of action.
Yeah, and I think it's important what you said also is because I think if you don't do it that way, there's a tendency to procrastinate and not do it. It's like you need a reason to do it, right? Or you need to just start walking and then walking the walk and then figuring it out later, or else it will never happen. You'll just keep saying, I really wish I learned how to sew, or I really wish, I mean, like, because I know we're saying this with like technology, and that's obviously the biggest use case that we're going to pay attention to, but just for anything, like if you're wanting to learn any kind of skill, even if it's just for fun, you're going to keep putting it off because it's not going to feel important unless you start doing it. And whether it is like what you just said of like, throw away the manual, just start doing
Well,
it,
no, no,
start
no.
making
Don't
mistakes.
throw away the manual. Don't throw away the manual.
Okay, well, yeah, let's unpack what
Put
you
the
said then, because
manual
I
in a
misunderstood.
cabinet.
To say throw away the manual, figure it out as you go. That's not what you're saying. Okay, like tell me what
No,
you're
that's
saying.
yeah. Well, let's talk about it in the context of marketing strategy, not just tech, right? Because there are a lot of things, like tech is like a pretty tangible one, but let's say you don't know how to grow an email list, okay, and you're really stuck on that. I don't think it's a bad thing to get an overview of how to do it, the strategy, right? So that's like, uploading the manual to ChatGPT and asking it for a summary. But you are going to learn so much more if you are actually taking action, building your free offer. And then if you get stuck, yeah, okay, oh, I have to figure out Canva, or oh, I have to figure out how to, hook up an automation. But you're going to learn more if you take action. It's like pulling rocks out of your way than if you take a course on email list building, and then you take another course on email list building, and then you take another course on email list building, and you spend all that time just learning, never feeling like you're ready. That's more what I mean. I think you need the manual. I do think you need the manual, but I think you need it when you get stuck, not like like you said, to procrastinate taking action. But we hate failure. And I think that's one of the reasons why we procrastinate. We like to stay in planning mode. And so it feels safer to do that than to fail.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take because I think what you're saying is that we almost tend to over prepare when we're wanting to learn something like, well, in order to learn, I need to have this, this, and this, and this has to be in place, and that has to be in place. And so you're going to like over prep yourself. But what you're saying is that you're probably prepping for the wrong thing because you don't even know what you don't know. So in order to prepare, you have to start.
Yeah, and I would say, if we're in the online course business, I would say 90% of online courses don't aren't built for action. They're built for
Mm,
consumption. And I think that's one of the things, if I can brag, for a moment, that I feel like we do really well is that our courses are built for action. It's 80% action, 20% content in terms of how we structure the programs. But most programs, are not built by natural born teachers or people who are in the field. And so it's a lot of consuming, right? Consuming, 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 but not actually doing, doing, doing. And that's, we learn by doing. I mean, that's just the way it is.
100%. I think that this is why workshops work so well, is because they have these defined A to Z. By the end of this, you will walk away and you'll have this built. I think they're not as easy to teach, and that's probably why people don't do them because they're hard when you're doing them, especially with like live students, you're doing like a live workshop or whatever. Super hard to te from a teaching perspective, but from a learning perspective, way easier to actually build something. I mean, it's proven that that's the way your brain learns is through doing and through like projects, right? Versus just like theory. So I definitely agree with you, and I think that's something that we probably all should be doing more of is instead of just theory and talking about something, actually walking the walk and actually showing it, even if it's just you walking through what it looks like to work with a client or, like here's my step, here's my process, but like let me show you what it looks like versus let me talk about what you should think about when you're thinking about thinking. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
step one, I do this. Watch me do this, and because this is what I don't think AI can do very well because we're not like over the shoulder AI. It just tells us, it does all the thinking and it tells us, like the end result.
Right. And I think that's one of the benefits of like our membership, FG Society, because we do over the shoulder. And just the other day I was doing an over the shoulder training. I was building a webinar for my mastermind and I just popped open my Google Slides. I turned on Zoom, let people watch and ask questions, and they watched me what slide I did first, what slide I did second, and you can watch other people's webinars and you can learn and you should learn stuff about webinars, but nothing substitutes doing. But I want to address the wasting the time feeling because the other day I was working on a podcast episode and the thought crossed my mind. I was like, there is a faster way to do this. Like I knew there was a faster solution with Claude that I was not doing. And I thought to myself, if I stop right now and I learn this, I'm going to waste time. And so I didn't want to stop, right? I just wanted to like get it done, but that's just like my personality. Whereas maybe another personality, they would love that. But then I realized if I learn how to do this today, I will save myself, 20 minutes for the next whatever, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. That's way more than the hour it's going to take me to sit down and build the skill and build the automation. And so I decided at that moment, instead of getting the podcast out, I was going to use it and I was going to create a workflow. And then it took me like an extra hour that I wouldn't have done. But now it's done. And now it's going to save me a tremendous amount of time later.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to waste time today or do you want to waste time today and tomorrow and next week and next month? Because you're going to keep wasting time versus
Mhm.
wasting more time up front just today and then saving time tomorrow. So, very interesting take on it. And I do think you're absolutely right. I think what also helps with that situation is having something to work on. I think a lot of times people get stopped up by learning something because they don't know what to do. So in your specific case, I want to learn how to use, Obsidian or I want to learn how to use Cowork or whatever. But like, what am I even building? What do I build with it? And that's where that will stop people of like making a
For sure.
decision or even like I want to build an audience. But like, what am I going to sell? And we're like, you can just start building an audience. Like we have audience builder challenge that helps you build an audience. You don't know have to know what to sell, right? And so like I think I guess what would you say if that's the case? If I want to learn something but I don't know what project to do to learn it in, how can we get over that objection.
Yeah. I feel that when I like browse X and like just yesterday I saw I think Google and OpenAI both came out with these general intelligence agents. And I just like, I saved the bookmark and I was like, man, what am I even going to do with these agents? Like, I've got 700 agents at my disposal. Like, what am I doing? And that feeling can get really amplified when you start learning tech outside the context of a problem. So for people who are like, what do I even do? I would say go back to the problem. What problem do you have right now, today in your business? And it's just so ironic because this is what I say all the time about business. Focus on the problem. So look around you and ask yourself, what is your problem right now, today? And instead of looking for a general solution, ask yourself, is there a solution to this problem that I don't yet know? And that's where AI can come in handy. You can ask AI, you can ask your coach, you can ask someone like, is there a way that I could solve this? And then that's where you learn whatever you need to learn to solve that problem. And the problem of what do I even work on, right? For people who, maybe they don't have a business or they don't have an offer, it sounds like your problem is idea generation. That's literally your problem. And that's the problem you should start to tackle first.
Yeah, even I was just trying to think of like backing up and thinking of it less like specifically in AI. Like if you wanted to learn how to sew, it's like what do I even make? What would I make? And then you're immediately like, well, I can't make like a pair of pants. That's too difficult. So like forget it, whatever. But then if we're reverse engineering it, like you said, we're almost looking for problems. Well, what could a piece of fabric do that would help my life? And I'm sure Julie's could be like, well, there's these times when I have to bring the feed from here to there. And like, what if I had this little pouch that I could wear and I could whatever, and it also had a spot for, like, I don't know, my sunscreen or water. I don't know, whatever. I'm just totally reaching. But like, and then you're like, well, maybe I could find a pattern to, no, like, and then you're solving a problem. You're still learning how to sew, right? But you're solving a problem that you had, but you have to almost be like looking for problems and like have that problem and awareness of like, what could a piece of fabric, how could it help me save time? Because I'm taking trips from here to here to grab stuff. Like, how could I integrate that in to make it easier? So it's almost like opening up your mind to the possibility of a problem being solved in a different way, which is sometimes hard for us to think about.
Yeah, because we get so stuck in our routines.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to make this is a little bit of a side quest or like a deviation from what we're talking about. But there are times when not looking at the manual actually does you a disservice because I have this problem and I don't know if I'm the majority of the population or not, but I will be the person who picks up the camera, figures out, the four basic buttons. There's one button I don't know. I go to the manual, I learn it. Then I have the five buttons and then I stop learning because I'm like, I'm good. And I'm just like so driven to execute that I never stop to learn because I am one of those people that's sometimes like, oh, it's such a waste of time. But then I'll spend like I'll never forget. I was like, I don't know, 8 years into owning an iPhone when I discovered that you could copy text from your phone and move it to your laptop because I stopped to actually learn about some iPhone features. And then I remember posting about it. People are like, yeah, that's been around for years, right? So there is a time and a place to actually dedicate, hey, I'm going to sit down and learn. So I do that on Fridays now. On Fridays, it's like I don't necessarily have to be problem focused. I just am going to learn something because I have found myself not realizing I have tools at my disposal that I didn't even realize I had.
That's like the invention of I was today years old.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like literally where it came from is people doing things without reading the manual. So I was today years old when I realized that there was a way to do this without the way I was doing it, and it's much easier and that they thought of this. So yeah, it's interesting because yeah, like I think so yeah, so what I even take from that is that even if you think you know how to do something, maybe there's some stock in like learning it from someone else or like what's their process or is there a way to improve the process of like and actually learn by like improvement, not just from scratch?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like watching some of the stuff that we're teaching in FG Society, like even if you kind of think you maybe know it already, watching it anyway. And then you might see, oh my gosh, she's doing it in a totally different way. And that would actually save me a ton of time or whatever. So it's interesting. Yeah, there is another use case of like, I'm using something well enough, but am I using it to its like full potential? Maybe not because I didn't learn it from scratch, because I
Exactly,
learned it while
exactly.
doing.
Well, what is coming up for me is that this is so personality driven because I coach a lot of digital insiders and I can think of someone, and I'm sure she won't mind, her Tatiana, she works with us. She is a personality that is always trying to optimize, like always, right? Is there a better way? Is there a faster way? And that personality trait allows her to learn and create amazing things, but it also is the exact same personality trait that keeps her stuck because she never actually because something can always be better, right? And then you have another personality. I'm thinking of another person who's like, "Well, I'm just going to do this." And they never follow the steps. They never take the time to do, the choreography correctly. They're like moving so fast that they never get the advantage of like actually going deep. And they're the kind of person that could afford to slow down and really learn some things along the way. But those two people need completely opposite strategies. So I feel like this discussion we're having, how to learn without wasting your time, the answer is completely different depending on if you're Tatiana or if you're this other person.
Yeah, 100%. I think maybe you just figure out what is stopping you. What is your obstacle? Is it that you're doing things kind of backwards and you're just flying by the seat of your pants and maybe you need a little bit of structure? Or is it that you have too much structure and you have perfectionism and you're not moving? You're just kind of spinning around in one circle and in one spot because there's always more to learn, right?
Yeah.
So like or that type of person that always needs all the data. And so I think I guess our goal would all to be somewhere in the middle, to be the balance of like having just enough data, but having data and to be able to move, right? So like understanding where that threshold is of like, okay, I've got enough. This is close enough. Now I can move. Yeah, like getting towards the middle, I think would be the goal of for both of those people.
For both, right. And
Yeah.
so, if you're listening to this podcast episode and you're more like Tatiana, you're maybe zooming in on the parts where it's like take time every Friday and learn something new, right? Like that's the one you're naturally gravitating towards.
Yeah,
So
that one
maybe
sounds
the
good. I'd
call
love to just learn for a long time.
like yeah, maybe the call to action is whatever advice you hated the most in this episode is the
Mm,
advice you actually have to do.
yeah.
So
Convicted.
yeah. So if you're the person who was like, ooh, that's a good idea, well, do the one that you didn't like because then that's pulling you more towards the middle.
Love that advice.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if there's something you want us to talk about on the mic, let us know. DM us at Funnel Gorgeous on Instagram, and we will talk to you soon.
Hey, gorgeous. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're thinking, okay, but what now? We've got you. So just for listening today, we want to give you a gift. Head over to learngorgeous.com. We're going to grab some free resources, free trainings, this month's specials, and everything you need to keep going. Until next time, make it gorgeous.